Let me tell you a story of
Yes.
one of my goals I achieved that I'm really proud of. And that is when I finished the IronMan 70.3 back in
I
2011.
remember that.
I'm proud of it because I got into a major injury and operation 5 months before the event. So long story short, I
Yeah.
was back to zero, no, and resumed my training by June. Okay. So I was thinking, should
Yeah.
I still do this? Kasi 2 months na lang yung before the event. I don't know if I can finish it. But
So this episode is brought to you by Accounting Starter digital course for small businesses. It's a 7-module self-paced course that teaches you the basics of accounting, and it comes with a free access to our accounting and payroll software. Check it out at accountingcourseth.com. Hey everyone, welcome to the new episode of our podcast. I'm Fiona and I'm here with my co-host Dennis, and today we are going to be discussing staying flexible in the midst of setting goals. So without further ado, let's get started.
DX Your Life and Business, helping you in digital transformation. Hello, welcome to the Digital Transformation Academy podcast. Again, this is Dennis and with me is Fiona. Hi Fiona, how are you?
I'm good.
So
Happy New Year.
yeah, so this is our first episode this year, and I think it's a roller coaster New Year
Yeah, sometimes
to start
I'm
2022.
I'm surprised that this is just the first week. Now on their second week of the year.
Sige, what's your kwento?
Okay, so I got sick last week, and so I'm currently on quarantine. But I'm doing better now. It's like I got sick for a few days, and then now it's almost gone. I'm almost fully healed. So yeah, it's been pretty crazy last week.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Like,
Yeah, and the cases are really on the all-time high in the Philippines because of this Omicron and some more variants is coming in. Sige, before that, how's your holiday? Siguro on a more positive note, how was your holiday?
So my December, was really good. I was finishing off the last few weeks of school. So my first semester is actually already done. And
Okay.
then I went on vacation. Where did we go again for Christmas?
Yeah, we went to Pililla for the family reunion, diba? And
Yeah,
then we stayed in Batangas for,
yeah, family reason.
yeah,
We were in our tito's wind farm place. It was really nice.
right. And we stayed in Batangas for
Yeah.
December and the New Year. So, just a question: what was your fattest meal last December?
Oh my gosh. So many. We ate so many last month. But our New Year's dinner was pretty good. We ate Japanese because we were pretty sick of Filipino food.
Right,
That
right.
was really, we had ramen and everything.
Yeah,
But
nice.
yeah, New Year's was simple, but it was fun. It was good, just with family. So yeah,
Yeah, and then on another note, like I said, the Omicron virus is very,
yeah,
we all got sick. You got sick.
yeah.
It's
Basically everyone's getting affected by it because it's spreading really fast.
right,
But
but
I'm glad
they're saying
everyone's-
kasi the Omicron is like the end of the pandemic daw, because of the herd immunity na sinasabi nila. But to me, no one can really predict what's going to happen, because if they can, then they should have predicted the start of COVID and the variants that came along, di ba? The problem with social media kasi is that the suggestions given by these so-called experts is that psychologically people by default believe in the suggestion, di ba? Kasi like me, if I tell you something, by default you always believe in that. So be cautious lang sa mga, fake news and all that. Kasi at the moment, different variants mutate and we don't know what and when it is coming. So the best thing I think is just to still follow the protocols, di ba?
And a lot of these fake news, they just stir up unnecessary fear when in reality, there's so many more practical things we can do with this.
Right,
But
right.
yeah,
Okay, so I think we have to jump now right to the topic.
yeah,
Again,
good.
the topic is all about setting and accomplishing goals and how to stay flexible
Yeah.
in achieving your goals, di ba? Ayun, so ikaw, what's your goal this year, or your resolution this year?
I think it's actually a lot about our topic today, which is habits. I think since last year, I really was able to become a habits person, but then, we're not perfect. I fall off of it sometimes. So this year, I really want to be able to, I think that's why this is a great topic because I want to be able to stay flexible with it. That, my habits will not be boxed into one kind of season because seasons change. We go into different seasons in life. So sometimes certain habits have to change also. So for me, I have these goals of working out, of
Mm-hmm.
setting better time management and everything. But like for me, it's all packed into how can I become flexible with these habits so I can stay consistent.
Right.
So yeah.
What's like a unique habit that you want to exercise this year? Something new for you?
Something new. You mentioned this, but I really want to get into the habit of just getting more sunlight. So
Okay.
waking up early and getting sun. It's kind of difficult here because I'm in a condo, so I just stick my face
Right,
near the
right.
sun, but then I have to actually go out. So yeah, for me, it's I want to be able to just get more sunlight because it helps start your day.
Yeah,
It's a good habit to have.
just a quick tip, there's this app, it's called Lux. Let me check, LUX, light meter. It's a light meter, no.
Lux.
Yeah, so that app kasi, it
Okay.
measures the intensity of the light. So I guess for the sunlight,
Yeah.
I really don't know exactly how much is that you should be, exposed, in terms of light. It's a very different meter or light intensity sa sunlight compared to indoor light. Yeah, I suggest you really go out, walk around for
Yeah.
the sun, to really benefit with the
Yes.
with the sunlight. All right, so yeah, that's good to know that you have this new habit. I really recommend this to everyone, to expose yourself in the sun at the beginning of the day.
Yeah.
Actually, even the sunset is good to end the day, so that your circadian
Yeah.
rhythm will be in a healthy status or healthy mode. Okay, so let's talk about the main topic. So, how to accomplish goals and stay flexible. But before that, let me tell you a story of
Yes.
one of my goals I achieved that I'm really proud of. And that is when I finished the IronMan 70.3 back in
I
2011.
remember that.
Yeah, you were there, di ba?
Yeah.
So it was August
I was
20.
holding your medal in my small hand.
Right, right. I'm proud of it because I got into a major injury and operation 5 months before the event. My dream to finish the Ironman started when I got into, running back in 2008. No? I started running, jogging in BGC, and then I asked myself, what is a good milestone to achieve so I can stay consistent with running and exercising. Yun, then I thought of, yun nga, the triathlon, the Ironman. Well, basically, I know how to swim, I know how to bike, but I was never like do this for competition. I was not really a competitive athlete in triathlon. No? But at first, what I did was I drove to Kamsur to observe the Ironman 2010. And when the
Mm.
registration opened for 2011, I just jumped on it and registered. So without any partner or coach, I look for a templated program for a full Ironman preparation, not the half. The event was just a half Ironman, but what I did was a program for full Ironman so that I can really be in a good shape when I do the main event. No? So I started training November 2010, and like I said, I was in the best shape of my life until March when I
Yeah.
dislocated my shoulder, in an accident. So I stopped the training. I got depressed a bit. Then, but my will was strong enough to pursue the thing. So I decided to undergo surgery. In surgery kasi is to put a metal in my shoulder so
Yeah.
that it will not recur. So after the surgery, I have to do some therapy and recovery for about 2 to 3 months. So long story short, I
Yeah.
was back to zero, no, and I resumed my training by June. Okay, so I was thinking, should
Yeah.
I still do this? Kasi 2 months na lang yung before the event. I don't know if I can finish it. But again, I'm so committed to that goal. Yeah, I basically finished the Ironman 70.3. Actually, the goal is just to finish it. Ano. My point here is that if you want to have something, if you want to achieve something, it's not a walk in the park. Diba? There's always
Mm.
challenges. There's always roadblocks that you have to undergo to really achieve that. Ano. Yeah, so that was a quick story about my experience in reaching a goal. All right, so first let's talk about the different formulas or suggestions in setting goals. No, I think the most
Okay.
common is the SMART goals. Have you heard of that? So
Yeah,
specific.
I've learned
Yeah,
SMART
go ahead. Go ahead.
goals. I've learned SMART goals when I was in high school. I think that was the first time it was taught to us in like a business subject. And until now, I use it whenever I write down goals. So yeah.
Yeah. So for the benefit of people who don't know that, it's specific, measurable,
Yeah.
attainable, realistic, time bound. But I won't be discussing this as I find this as a cliche in goal setting, diba? So yeah. So next is there's this what you call BHAG. So it means big, hairy, audacious goals. No, this was coined by the
Okay.
author of Built to Last and Good to Great books, which are my
Mhm.
favorite business books. No, I suggest you also read that because well, there's a backstory behind it, but later on we can discuss that. But examples of a BHAG is just like Steve Jobs' goal, a dent. He wanted to put a dent in the universe, or I want to crush Adidas, something like that. No? So it's a big, hairy, audacious goals. No,
That's
um,
more of in the macro view.
right, right. And then from that macro view, you have to break it down into chunks of tasks and the habits. No, but this correlates also with the moonshot thinking. So there's also a term called 10x thinking by Grant Cardone. Ano? Di ba may quote tayo na
Okay.
shoot for the moon. So even if you miss it, then you land among the stars. No, something like that. So, for example, if you're setting a goal for your business, would you rather set a sales target of 1 million instead of 1 billion, di ba? So the most commonly, I think
Mm.
the answer is 1 million because it's more realistic. But if you know the
Yeah.
chances of hitting 1 billion is 1 out of 100, would you still go
Mm.
for 1 million, di ba? So suddenly, 1% of 1 billion or equivalent is like 10 million. Seems realistic. So if you change your perspective right, or you set that high of a goal, then you can break it down into, like I said, detailed action plans. Then you probably hit
Yeah.
more than the initial 1 million target, something like that. Ano. I'm not saying that this is perfect.
Yeah.
This is recommended, but again, you can play around with it when you set your goals. No,
What's the one you use the most personally?
I have this. I have devised actually a formula for myself. No, in setting goals. No, actually, medyo ano to, medyo nerdy or OC. You know, it's an
Okay.
OC way of setting a goal. But I
That's
cut
good for all our OCD people.
right. So basically, I categorize them in terms of different aspects in life. No, one is health,
Yeah.
emotional and mental, and then we have work, of course. If for example, in business, I subdivide it into finance, HR, operations, and whatnot. I also set goals for relationships, for family, leisure. I also set goals for creative work like arts, music, and goals for personal improvement. No, but setting goals is easy. No? The difficult part lagi is achieving them. You know, how to stay consistent and have consistent progress, and also most important is the how to stay motivated to get them. You know, how to make good habits, how to break bad habits and whatnot. You know.
Yeah.
But the OC or nerdy way of doing it in my case is I write them in an app. I'm using a Notion app. I think you have some suggestions then what kind of apps you can use to set goals. There's a lot of apps kasi that helps you or guide you in setting goals. So what are the apps that you use, Fiona?
One of the apps I use is Notion.
Okay, same
So
as
it's
mine.
like an all-around notes app. So it has everything. Calendar, you can journal there. And the like let's say a simple to-do list, you can arrange them in different ways so that
Mm.
they'll be more spread out. So yeah, I like Notion. I personally use that.
Yeah, I also use that for my goal setting and whatnot. But what I do kasi is I create folders. You mentioned that the category that I told you. I create folders per category. And in per category, I define what is the state I'd like to achieve in 5 years. So the milestone I'd like to achieve in 5 years. So like for example, I started to redefine my goals when I was 40. So I have the
Yeah.
milestone I want to achieve when I'm 45. So by 45, for example, I should maintain a weight of 160 pounds when I'm
Mm.
and have this a clean bill of health. My numbers in my blood work is normal. No? So for example, sa work naman, I should have a 1 year cash surplus. I should have this number of clients. Uh, for my emotional state or mental state, I have a way to score my emotions through journaling. For example, kasi I do daily journaling din, for example, I encounter an intense emotion, I just record it, and then try to score it. My scoring is like
Mm-hmm.
1 to 5. 5 is the highest. In terms of 5 is the happiest, and then 1 is the depressed state, for the
Yeah.
day. So by doing that, at least I can monitor really my mental health and my emotional health. For relationships naman, I should spend this much time to each of my family every week or so, talk to them and whatnot, watch movies with them at least twice or thrice a week, or something like that. And then for personal improvement, I should learn and master these skills when I'm 45. Like right now, I'm
Yeah.
really into music recording. So I try to learn
Yeah.
how to mix, how to master songs, how to record, how to sing, even something like that. And then
That's good.
I break it down and update them in my daily journal, like I said. So, but doing it daily is a bit overkill, to be honest. But sometimes I also fail to journalize from time to time, but do it at least once a week. I think one of the things that I do, unlike before, is that I don't get like too hard on myself. No, before kasi when
Mm.
I fail to do this, I get depressed, I get sad. But now, not anymore. I just acknowledge it and then move on.
Yeah.
Now that you have defined your goals and habits, no? So the next question now is how can you stick to these habits?
Right.
Ikaw, what do you do, Fiona, to stick to your habits? So sometimes you also procrastinate.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things that I always apply is I never forget my why. So I never forget why I do certain habits because it makes it easier for me to be realistic also with how often I can do it. Because when I know why I'm doing it, I don't have this pressure of doing this many times in a day, and then not being consistent with it also.
Mm.
But at the same time, I don't actually know why I'm doing them. So I always write it down like, okay, I'm working out because I want to be healthier, not really because like I want to lose weight. Because sometimes that can really lose your motivation.
Right.
So you have a good reason and have a good foundation of why you're doing these habits and write it down also, just like your habits. And then another practical thing is giving myself a deadline. So
Mm.
giving myself boundaries in my time. Because especially for naturally, like let's say lazy people or people who find it hard to push themselves, I think giving yourself boundaries within your time is good
Yeah.
because it's some you can follow it and it can help you to really push yourself because you know you have to meet this. So those are some of the things that I do.
Yeah, I agree. No, I think what you're saying also is that it's not really more of the destination; it's more about
Yeah.
the journey. No, so that's the best part in setting a goal. You know, it's all about the journey, the habits. What will you do if there's a roadblock? What will you do if you are procrastinating? You know, a quick tip when you procrastinate is that what I do is for example, I am too lazy to do this task now. So what I set a mindset of I'll just do this for 5 minutes. Okay. So when I sit down, I do it for 5 minutes, and then after 5 minutes, there's already a momentum. So I just continue doing it and accomplishing that task yeah, eventually. There's
Yeah.
this podcast by Dr. Andrew Huberman. He's a tenured
Mm-hmm.
professor of neurobiology and ophthalmology at Stanford University School of Medicine. No? So he has a recent episode in his podcast, the Huberman Lab podcast. Check it out. So he suggests some tools in making and breaking habits. No?
Yeah.
One is the first tool is visualization.
Okay.
So by visualizing that you are about to do the habit, then the more likely you'll do it. For example,
Mm-hmm.
I have this habit na to fast for the day. So I'm visualizing myself in a hungry mode and just drinking water, to get past the pain and being hungry, something like that. Then another tool is task bracketing. In task bracketing kasi, parang he's suggesting there are 3 phases in a day. So the first phase, yung first 8 hours from waking, which is the best state,
Yeah.
you should execute the habits that is most difficult to execute or requires more will to execute. Yung mga like deep work, even workout. So the first eight
Yeah.
hours is the best time to do it. So for example, if you wake up at 6, so you do it up to 2 p.m. No? Tama
Yeah.
ba? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 2 p.m. So yung phase 2 naman, yun yung next 8 hours between 9 to 15 hours after waking should be the habit that has like less friction to execute. Like journaling,
Yeah.
reading, leisure, relationship building, something like those. No? So yun naman yung dun mo ilalagay, dun mo i-bracket yung tasks mo on that phase.
Yeah.
And then the phase 3, which is 16 to 24 hours after waking, is actually that's basically the sleeping. So you really have to have that a good sleeping habit. So the best thing to
Right.
do it is try to maintain a very low to no light, when you're about to sleep.
Yeah.
So again, it affects kasi your physiology or psychologically your circadian rhythm. No? Kung may sunlight, meron namang low light or sunset, something like that. So those are the tools that I learned from that episode from Dr. Huberman. Then another
That's
tip
good.
kasi, if you want to introduce a new habit or new habits for you, he's suggesting that to group it in a 21-day habit installation and testing.
Okay.
So ibig sabihin, if you want to introducing a new habit, you have to set a 21 days or commit 21 days to do it, and then try
Yeah.
to like introduce 5 to 6 new habits,
Mm-hmm.
Kasi there will be times that you won't be able to do it in a day, that's the nature
Mm-hmm.
of the system, to fail some of it, but at least kung sino yung ma-retain na 3 to 4 habits na
Yeah.
you can do consistently, then it becomes a nature already. It becomes an impulse already na to do it without really mindfully doing it. Like brushing your teeth, di ba? Brushing your teeth kasi regardless of
Yeah.
the situation, regardless of the time, you have that habit to do it, di ba? Without any friction or in any
Right.
place you are in, you're there, no? So yun yung try
Yeah.
i-achieve nung habit installation na yun, But he also discussed about breaking habits. For example, what's a bad habit that you have, Fiona?
For me, I think a bad habit I had was sleeping late.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So fixing the sleeping schedule.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, so what he suggests kasi in breaking habits that each time you perform the bad habit, you acknowledge it first. Okay, so in my case, I have this bad habit of checking my phone unconsciously in a dinner table or in a meeting. So there's a bad habit that I'd like to also break. Ano. Huberman suggests that each time you perform the bad habit, just acknowledge it and then immediately
Yeah.
execute a positive habit, like one of your goals. No, so in
Mm.
that, ano kasi psychologically, there's an effect, and eventually you'll be able to break that bad habit of yours. Ano. So that's one of his suggestions. No?
Right.
So I hope that gives value, no. And then in relation naman to a systematic way of scheduling your tasks or your habits, no, I'm using
Yeah.
the time blocking technique. So what I do is create an entry in my calendar, Google Calendar, so even the,
Yeah.
like in my case, I batch my time in terms of checking emails and messages. So I
Right.
just put it in calendar. So I block that time 3 times a day just to check my email. And then again, I'm using
That's
a
good.
Google Calendar or any other calendar that you can use digitally. And then some reminders. The in iPhone kasi, di ba, may reminders app uh, that you can it can remind you to do the habits that you'd like to do. Like if I open my reminder app
Yeah.
now, I have this habit to journal, to check messages, to drink my
Hmm.
my yerba mate tea every 4 p.m., get sunrise, get
Yeah.
sunset. It's a good way to use these apps and technologies to help you in doing your habits. That is it. I think my take on setting goals, accomplishing them, and staying flexible in doing it. Anything else that you would like to add, Fiona?
Yeah, I can have a few questions to ask you.
Yeah, sure.
I think with all these wrapped up, how are you able to apply these certain principles and all of that in your business now, especially as the year starts?
In the business, kasi just like in my personal way of doing it, I also, firstly, I set goals in our business with my team. No,
Yeah.
I don't dictate the goal. No, it's actually a collaborative brainstorming in
Okay.
what goals to achieve. No, specifically in projects that we have to deliver, sales targets and whatnot. So we
Yeah.
do it. Actually, we have a meeting after this, no, to talk about that, our goals for this
Right.
year. And then from there, we also use apps in collaboration. We use Lark Suite.
Yeah.
Lark Suite is a good business tool. Unlike kasi yung mga apps like Viber, those things kasi medyo
Mm.
pang personal eh. So Lark Suite is a good app for your business. And then we also use Airtable naman in terms of collaborating what tasks to specific tasks to do and targets. No, and then we have a weekly rhythm or weekly sprints that we call,
Hmm.
to talk about roadblocks, talk about basically update on where we are, and then we have a quarterly group meetings as well, to like a macro level view of what's happening in the company.
Yeah. That's really good. I feel like the tools that you've mentioned, we can expand more of that actually in our next episodes to come. Like just
Yeah,
a bunch of tools and resources that you guys can use, especially with all the habits and whatnot that we talked about here.
sure.
But another question, maybe is what can you encourage to those that find it hard to break bad habits, or even in accomplishing these goals, like inconsistency, like what's the best way to kickstart all the habits that we want to build and break the bad ones also, especially the ones from last year.
Yeah, that's a good question. For me, kasi it really starts with yourself. No, it starts with your values. What values do you have? To in
Yeah.
terms of setting goals. For example, do you have integrity? Do
Mm-hmm.
you have like? Do you try? Are you someone who is a believer of excellence?
Yes,
or
yes.
something like those, so based on those core values, that's where you set your goals, no. Like for example, commitment, if you have a commitment value, then be able to have a strong will to achieve goals and break bad habits,
Right.
so it starts with that, for me. And then the rest, kasi just like what we talked about earlier, we just you have to put a system on how you will achieve your goals.
Mhm.
Don't be too hard on yourself
That's
if you
true.
don't achieve them, or if you don't break them. Just continue doing what is right, what you have defined in your system, that I think is the suggestion I can give in terms of setting goals and staying flexible with it.
Yeah, that's true. And I want to add then I feel like in terms of what you value, it's important to know that, define that already now. Like, what are the things that you value in your life? Because those are the things that you will prioritize.
Right.
And it looks different for everyone. Productivity, that looks different for everyone depending on what you value. So, is it people? Is it the habits that you've built? And
Mm.
also, I think it's important that as you set goals this year, accountability is very important. So whether
Mm.
that's personally, if you have a family member or a loved one that or a friend that you can be accountable to, if it's in a business setting, anyone that can really help you be accountable to certain goals that you've set as a team.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I feel like that's a really great encouragement for those that find it hard to be consistent and break our bad habits. But yeah, those are all my questions for now. Do
Right.
you have
Yeah.
anything else to add?
Well,
Maybe to
I
people
think,
who's listening to this.
yeah, that is it for now. I think we have some questions for them. Just shoot.
I think one question that I can leave with you guys as you finish listening to this is maybe what is something that you really value this year, because that's where you're gonna build your habits off of and your goal off of. So what's one thing that you'll truly value this year? So whether that's your academics, that's your relationships, so just think of one word or one sentence to really think of what you value this year so that you can start building off your goals from there. But yeah, that is it for our first episode of the year. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. For those who are coming on here for the very first time, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video wherever you're consuming this from. And comment down below some things that you guys want to see in the future. And we also have previous episodes from last year that you guys can look back at. But yeah, we'll also be talking about other tools and resources in the next episodes, especially the ones we've mentioned from this episode. But other than that, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you so much for watching or listening. So, DX Your Life and Business. Have a great day.